with medicinal plants. I cannot give specific targeted medical advice. That's illegal. I'm not an MD. What I can tell you is the traditional uses and what Western science has found for the medicinal plants. If it sounds like I'm giving you medical advice, that's just a misunderstanding on your part. Please don't get me in jail. The reason they're called sugar hackberries is because I'm passing the berries around. The berries are very, very, very sweet. So there's kind of a slightly hard shell on this berry, followed by a little bit of flesh, followed by a hard seed in the center. Now, if you take that and just kind of scrape it off with your mouth, the flesh is very, very sweet. This is actually one of the few sources of sweetness that the pioneers, especially in the early Texas years, had. This is like their dessert berry. But there's another cool thing. So it has that hard seed in it. When I talked about the acorns, I mentioned the acorns have this oil in it, but that oil goes rancid. The hackberry seed, for some reason, has this magical oil that does not go rancid. So this was actually a storable form of calories. Now, the hackberry trees are found all over the world. It's not just here in Texas. They're found all over the world, and most people hate them. If you have a hackberry in your yard, you realize it's a messy tree. It's constantly dropping branches. It's producing thousands of seeds, which produce thousands of seedlings. It's messy. It's short-lived. It's pretty much they die after about 25, 30 years. They just don't last long. They don't realize the human race owes our existence to the hackberry tree. So throughout the time, they've shown that there's been several instances where the human race, or even the pre-human race, was reduced down to like 1,000 people, like when ice ages and stuff came in, and basically the population crashed. The places where these populations rebounded was areas high in hackberry trees. And so the theory is because they had calories that they could store, they could devote energy to other things like reproducing. So if you go back, if you've heard of Peking man, this was a skeleton found in China, pre-Homo sapien. It's Homo pekinus, something like that. He was actually found with a packet of hackberry seeds. And the cave that they think they lived in, there's a lot of hackberry seeds stored in there too. So they knew that this was a storable form of food. The areas high, well, like I said, these are found all over the world. The areas where there's a high concentration of these things, that's where you find the earliest tools. That's where you find the earliest art. And it's also, unfortunately, because we are humans, that's some of the earliest signs of warfare, where you find basically people with arrow hooks. Has anybody been reading the news? They found out here, just this year, the oldest evidence of humans in North America is here in Texas. And I can't remember, I want to say 15,000 years ago or something like that. But in all of North, because there's a theory they came across in Alaska and spread through. But the oldest tools that they can say are made by people were found here in Texas. And like I said, if you go Google it, it's about 15,000 years ago. And it's nearby here actually. It's really fascinating.
When is the best time for harvesting?
This time of year, right now.
Okay.
So like October is actually the best, where you can see all the berries on here.
So when those are already kind of dry on the...
Yeah, so so they're asking, when do you want to harvest them? October is the best time because then the pulp around that seed will still be sweet. Now I'm guessing the sweetness of the seed has pretty much faded, but you still, or the sweetness of the pulp has faded, but you still have the seed. And so they take the seed and they would mash it up. They basically bang it between two rocks. It's a hard seed. If you try biting through it, there's a good chance you're going to break your tooth. You do not have caveman teeth. I'm assuming most of you don't have caveman teeth. I'm not going to make a judgment call like that. But if you're going to try and just chew it in your mouth, I hope you have good dental insurance. This is one where you need some rocks to bang it between. Yeah, so you need to bash it up, crush it up, and then what they would do, they would still get it when it has the pulp too. So they'd mash up the pulp and the skin and the seed together into a mush, and then pat it into bars and then bake those, and they basically make granola bars out of it, and that's what it tastes like. It's really good, and you're good to go. The other thing they would do, and you can do, anyone here drink almond milk? Wow, I still need to get a picture of that. Usually it's like one.
One hippie.
Like almond milk.
Okay, no more hippie jokes. All right, we'll make fun of survivalists now. My class is 50% hippie, 50% survivalist, and I'm both, so it works out great. So So like almond milk, you can do that with these, where you take again the seeds in October, and just mash them up and soak them in water overnight, put them in a blender, something like that, and you end up getting a nice sweet drink out of it. And you're good to go. You can boil it down into a syrup and so forth. But in doing that, you usually want to crush up the seeds first. Get some 2 rocks, or I will tell you, a coffee maker is not strong enough to chop up the seeds, unless it's one of those super duper gas-powered German ones. But generally not what you want in your kitchen. Trust me, my wife.
So like a Vitamix, would that be?
Probably not.
No.
It's hard.
Okay.
If you had one in your mouth, it'd be hard to tell between a rock and one of those. But yeah, mortar, pestle, 2 rocks. It's amazing what you can do with 2 rocks. Do I have 2 rocks? No, I don't have them in my bag right now. Anyway, so yeah, you mash them up and you're good to go, and you can store it, and it will last a long time. When I say you can store it indefinitely, that's not the case. But in May, I'm still eating these, and they're still not rancid. So it's just something to have in mind. Yeah, so that's the hackberry tree. It's actually a really cool tree. I mean, you can see how many berries are on this thing. Now, getting them can be a bit tricky. The caveman method was to chop down the tree. Not recommended. That's why you don't forage in state parks, because they get like that. But it's a very, very prolific tree. Okay, anything on before we move? Handing it to someone you can pass around. You can crush up. The leaves have that fuzzy shape. If you crush the leaves, you get this smell. It looks and smells like paint. It is not. It has a chemical in it that speeds up your body's ability to thermoregulate, which the Native Americans harnessed to use as medicine. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times with medicine, the difference between medicinal and poisonous is simply dosing. So what they would do is think about fevers for a second. The purpose of a fever is to raise the body temperature up above what the bacteria can live at, and thereby kill the bacteria. So they would use this plant. It has the ability to screw up your body's ability to thermoregulate. What that means then, if they make a tea, drink a tea of this, then do something that causes your temperature to start to rise, your temperature rises uncontrollably and stays high for about 3 days. So if they had someone, and it was mainly used against the venereal diseases like gonorrhea and syphilis, because those particular bacteria are actually quite sensitive. If you can get the temperature up around 105, 106 degrees, it kills a lot of that bacteria. So they found that if a person was in the last stages of that, the last ditch effort, would they make a tea from this and get them to do something, exercise something, and then wrap them in blankets and set them in a corner, their temperature would shoot up and stay that way for about 3 days. Now, if it worked out right, and the temperature only got to around 106, 107, they were okay for a while. It knocked the infection back down to manageable levels, and they could keep going until they needed the next treatment, 8 months later. If the temperature gets up to like over 108, then you got brain damage and things like that. So, penicillin is much better, much easier to control. Now, the other thing they would do with this is anti-nausea. So let's say someone had a real upset stomach or was vomiting, things like that. They would make a tea from the leaves and then lay the patient down and make a bunch of shallow cuts on the stomach and then massage the tea into those cuts. I'm thinking Pepto-Bismol is much better. But I have this theory on this. So I'll share my theory with you. So little running beaver, it's like, I don't want to go to school today. My stomach hurts. Honey, get the knife. Let's go to school. So I've discussed this with some Native Americans. They just give me an evil look. So I'm guessing that that's not their cultural way of dealing with things. But I can't think of why cutting someone's stomach and rubbing this in from a biochemistry way where it would do anything. I think it's purely placebo effect.
they think that it was, I mean, you could use it as a poultice and it would be transdermal, but would they think that just sped
It
it up?
speeds it up, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Native American medicinal thought process is like cures like. So if a plant looks like a part of the body, it's probably used to treat that part of the body. Or if the body responds in a sort of way, if they consume it when they're healthy, if you have that sort of symptom when you're sick, it will counteract that. So, but I don't know. All right, what I'm passing around now is called Japanese hawkweed. And this is another very common weed you probably have in your yards. This is the one later on, it'll put up a little stalk with little yellow flowers on it. They look like small dandelion flowers. The plant itself looks kind of like a dandelion plant. It's much smaller than your average dandelion. And the stalk, it will have multiple flowers on it, whereas a dandelion stalk will just have one flower at the end. The Japanese hawkweed, it'll have assorted flowers coming off the stem. This again is the bitter green. I mentioned at the beginning with the sow thistle, the different ways the bacon grease, the boiling, the sour, or the dilution. So this is one that you treat that same way. On this one, the flowers are too small to do anything with, and the roots are too small to do anything with. The only thing really good on this one are the leaves, and just use it as a, like an endive or a salad that way. But use one of those 4 methods for treating the bitterness. There's actually some better ones that I want to talk about.